What's up, guys? Welcome back to the shop for another restoration video, and I want to start this video out by saying a huge thank you to all of the new subscribers that we have, and welcome to the build series. My name is Otto. I am going to be attempting to entertain y'all. Sometimes I get a little boring. Just work with me on that. I'm not used to talking to the camera still. I'm still adjusting. But we are back at it again for another restoration video today. So what we're going to be working on is, last week I installed the stock tail light. Got to doing some thinking and some research on it and decided that's not what I wanted to do. I really wanted an integrated tail light system, and I found one on Amazon for about 40 bucks. How well it's going to work, I have no idea, but we're going to find out today. So on a side note, it's been a crazy week for me. I'm a little tired. If you see some bruising, I did an all-day self-defense course on Saturday, which is like this past Saturday. It was a ton of fun. Trained with some guys from A.C.T. Defense. I'm going to link their information in the channel if you're in the Birmingham area, want to get some quality training, check those guys out. I'm also going to have some video of some of the things that we did at the training. Now granted, my videos aren't really good right now, and this is also something for you new subscribers to know too, is I'm running off of a GoPro knockoff. I do not have a very high quality camera. The sound quality is not the best either, but I'm doing the best I can with what I got. I am in the process though of finding a better camera. It's a matter of finding which one that I want. I'm really leaning towards the Nikon D series. But then there's also the thing of cost, price, and money. Those things aren't cheap. I'm working on that though. So I got back up in here over, I think it was Sunday. I was recuperating from my my self-defense course, and I was honestly just too tired to record, and I was in a grouchy mood and tired. I just wasn't in the mood I didn't feel like being entertaining for y'all. Let's put it that way. So I decided I'm just going to come in the shop, play around with the bike a little bit, and just see what I can figure out. 'Cause there's some things that I wasn't really sure of. One of them was I wanted to make sure that the fairings were going to fit on the bike, since we've installed the new wiring harness. So as you can see, I put the tail section back together as best I can. There's a section that goes across here that is missing altogether. I do not have that part anymore, and the rear seat was trashed. I actually think I have the rear seat here somewhere, but I couldn't tell you where. It may have gotten thrown out because it was pretty trashed anyway. I wasn't going to reuse it, so that's also on the list of things to get. But the good news is most of everything's fitting very well. I haven't had any fitment issues. May have to do a little bit of wire, remapping in this section where it kind of a little bit more bunched up than I like. But so far so good. One thing that I have found though is there's a lot of bolts missing in this thing, and I mean a lot of bolts. So I'm either going to have to order a bolt kit, or I'm going to be making like 10,000 trips to Lowe's trying to get every damn thing that I need. And I don't want to do this. So I'm going to order a bolt kit at some point, probably when I buy the fairings, to put everything back together. I've got the fairings picked out that I want. At least I'm fairly confident I've got the ones that I want. I change my mind all the time, just different ideas pop in my head. But hopefully we'll be able to make a purchase on that here soon too. Another thing that I was working on when I was in the shop was the headlights. Now the stock headlights were damaged when it got stolen, and I got the bike apart, and I found that the right here where it bolts up to the frame, that plastic piece is broken. So there's nowhere to screw in a bolt. So what I did do was I hooked the headlights back up just to test to make sure they worked. And I ordered a new headlight housing. So once the housing comes in, we're going to pull the bulbs and everything out of the old one, the busted one, put it into the new one, mount it up all new. We're just going to go that route. I think it's going to be much, much simpler and look a lot better and be a lot more reliable long term. So that's what the plan is for next week. That part still hasn't come in according to the shipping information. It should be here tomorrow. That's yet to be seen. But what we are going to do today is we are going to install the new tail light. So sit back, relax, grab a beer. We're going to get to work. So first and foremost, here is the integrated tail light. It was a cheap $40 tail light. It's already got the connection for the brake light itself, but for the tail lights it's going to be a little bit more complicated. And what I'm most likely going to do is, since this is all stuff that is going to be under wraps anyway, is I'm most likely going to be reusing the stock connectors from the lights that I had previously. Now that's going to be a little bit of a challenge because I've already used those once on this section, which I don't know if I want to be reusing this, so that there's that. But we're going to see. This has got to be cleaned up something awful. It's in pretty rough shape. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to have to cut these wires. We're going to be using these connectors, which are actually the stock connectors off of the stock turn signals that I cut and crimp connected into these turn signals that are now busted. Alright, so here we are. We're going to start off by cutting the existing wiring for the turn signals. So let's go ahead and give that a snip. Alright, so we're going to be reusing this connector. I've got my crimp connectors here, and unfortunately with this cheap little system that I got from Amazon, did not come with the connectors for the turn signal, which honestly it's a little irritating. It is, but I mean, for 40 bucks I'm not gonna pitch too much of a fit. And honestly, it doesn't really matter if this looks good or not, because this is all going to be under the tail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of pull this stuff out here. There we go. Alright, so we've got these connections here. There's actually two connections. Now, how we're going to pull these together, I don't know yet. I don't need that anymore. Now, I will be honest, I have not given a lot of thought to this until just now. But here you see we've got two wires going into a single wire. I honestly don't know how well this is going to work out. I really don't. So I'm going to try my best at it and see what happens. And we're just going to run with it. Now again, I don't know exactly how this should be crimped together. I can tell you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to wrap both of these together like so and crimp them into one end of this crimp connector. Alright, so those are good and crimped in. So now we're going to use this next side. Now this wire is a little different. This wire is almost like soldering wire. It's a little different, so this might take a little trial and error before I get it right. There we go. Looks pretty good to me. I'll stick her on in there and then crimp her down. Okay, so now that I've got this spliced in, we're going to test it and see if it works. Get that plugged in. Turn on the power. Well, it looks like we blew a fuse, so this connection is not going to work. And that's okay, because this is trial and error. If we pop a fuse, we pop a fuse. I mean, that just comes with the territory, right? Okay, guys, so I found that in order to make this work, you've got to cut the ground wire. Ground wire, the black wire messes it up. So I cut that, turned it on, and now it works just fine. It's not as bright as I would have liked, so that's a little annoying, but I think it'll be okay. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal, but I'm going to go ahead and get the other side hooked up, and then we'll go ahead and get to the install. Alright guys, I've got the other side up and going. It is wired up, ready to rock and roll, so we're going to start on the installation process. And after I get this installed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure to wrap up all of my crimps with electrical tape, just for good measure. That's one thing that I like to do, make sure I do. So you've got a bolt here and a bolt here that need to be taken out, and then you've got these two bolts here that will release the tail light. So I'm going to get these out. They're a little difficult. And I'm not going to put these fairings back on right now because they're going to come off soon anyway. Basically, this will slide out. You can just kind of pop it around and that comes right out. So off to the side it goes. And I'm going to say, keep up with your bolts. Label them, keep up with them. Otherwise, it will be a colossal pain in your butt later. Trust me, ask me how I know. Alright, so we're going to take this out. And with these, make sure you get the little plunger. Come on. Hang on a second. That's going to aggravate me. It's going to be a pain in the butt. Well, it's really nice to have a nice pair of needle nose around. You can get in here and grab things like this. I don't have fingernails, so chew my nails, so. That one's out. We're going to pop this one out next. Alright. Out it comes. I'm trying to be careful not to hit the camera too much, but like I said, my camera equipment is pretty limited, to say the least. That's kind of an understatement. I am working on getting a better... bastard. Working on getting a better camera, but that is later on down the road. Hang on. Aha! Got him. So yeah, I'm working on getting a better camera. Like I said before, I'm just trying to decide which one that I want, which direction I want to go, but we'll see. So now, this still will not just pull out. There's a couple of tabs on the inside of these fairings that you've got to kind of pop out, and they're a pain because of what you got to go through, but I think I can get these out without going through too much. There we go. It does take a little finesse to get it to come out, but it's really not terrible. Alright, so now on to the new one. Now, what I'm going to suggest, before you try to bolt everything up, make sure you got your wires run. So I'm going to run these two first. These are for the turn signals, and this is a little difficult to do if you don't have anybody helping you, because you kind of got to hold the tail light and try to feed these wires through at the same time. Stick it between your legs. That's what she said. So now you kind of get the wire starting to feed through. Pull those on through. Got one more wire for the tail light itself. Pull that on through. And once there's through, then we start the whole process in reverse. Now this should be a direct mount. You should not have to do anything special to make this work. The only piece of advice I could say is there is some rubber, some of these rubber grommets on the tail light. You'll most likely you're going to want to take those out and put them on the new one before installation. I'm not going to do that primarily because one, I forgot to, and two, I'll probably end up doing that when I replace the fairings, because the fairings have a little tab that punch into these and hold it in place. In the same way with these here, these will also need to come out. I am going to go ahead and do those because you really do need these in before you finish the install. So let's go ahead and test this light and see how it does. Alright, so the light does work. How about the brake? Brake is good. Left turn signal. Left turn signal is good. Right turn signal. Right turn signal is good. So that is it. That is an integrated tail light installation. That's all there is to it. This one was a little different because it didn't come with the stock connectors and had to hook those up in a little bit different way. The only thing left for me to do is I'm going to use my electrical tape to wrap up wire. I'm not going to put that on camera because, you know, it's wrapping wire. It's not that difficult. But yeah, thanks for everybody tuning in, watching the video. Like I said earlier in the video, I did do some martial arts stuff. So I'm gonna end this video with letting y'all see a little bit about that course. Again, A.C.T. Defense stuff is in A.C.T. Defense's stuff is in the description, and y'all have a good week. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3.
Button for punishment.
4, 5, 6. Hey, keep your money. Money. I said money. 2, 3, money. 4. You don't have money. 5. Where's your money? Where's your money? Where's your money? I said, where's your money?
Okay,
One,
so you've changed it, Jurgen.
2,
And you started
3,
acting the change.
4,
So this is part of
5,
like assessing your pay?
6.
Okay.